pretty awesome. This gap, this was not a problem coming down. It's this area. The sheathing is warped. The framing, this thing is warped. The roof itself is warped. The measurements are off. They're 3 inches off, or 2 inches off. Well, all the screws are in, at least. Been working on that quite a bit over the past couple of days, and anywhere that I wanted to put a screw into the galvanized steel frame, it's in. Up here, haven't finished that yet. That's the last like unfinished section of siding, but otherwise everything's on. So that's the next step here. Guys, I don't want to give the impression by the title of this video that, you know, we're in something that we shouldn't have got into or that we shouldn't have bought the tiny house or anything like that. This was a decision that I made, and it was somewhat impulsive. I think that's how I described it, but at the same time, like, I really wanted to get the experience of working on something like this, and that's a big reason why we got it. Also, the price was definitely right. We got a pretty good deal on it. As I've been working on this over the past week or so, I've learned a lot, and I've also become aware of some of the issues with this tiny house, both structural issues from when it was manufactured by the company that made it, and then also issues that probably relate to what the previous owners did and some of the things that they did on it. So I'm going to get into that throughout this video. Not going to lie, there have definitely been a few moments of frustration over the past week or so, but at the same time, like I said, I'm learning a lot and just trying to keep it positive. Tomorrow we have our neighbor Bill who's going to come by. He's got some experience with roofing and stuff, so he's going to swing by and hopefully help us finish up with that section of the roof in the back, the one that was kind of leaking water in the last video. We are going to be getting rain at some point towards the end of this week, so we really want to get that buttoned up and finished as much as we can. It'll do, but I am going to pick up in the morning because I'm getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. I'll see you guys then. Well, it looks a million times better than it did a few hours ago, but that was definitely a procedure. The roof is all messed up, and that goes back to the company that built this all those years ago. It was built back in like 2016 or 2015. That company does not have the best reputation. They went out of business, they went bankrupt, and basically stole like tens of thousands of dollars worth of deposits from all different people, at least from what I've heard. A quick Google search shows that they definitely have some complaints with the Better Business Bureau and all that, so really not a good sign. They weren't very good at managing money. Apparently they weren't very good at like making walls straight either. We were able to get most of it pretty flush for the most part. There's still one gap, you can actually see it, where it's just overhangs and just the way that it was all warped, and that extends even to the front and the sides as well. There are definitely some funny things going on with this build. But, you know, we can just do the best we can. All I can do is just try to trim it out and make it even, and then obviously make it so that it's waterproof. And right now, I am going to go and just caulk all the seams, get in there really well, and then tomorrow we'll pick back up again and try to finish trimming everything out and hopefully get this entire side completely finished so we can move on to the rest of the house. Another day down. Spent pretty much the whole day just trimming out the back part of the tiny house around that window, and this has definitely just been a process. It's ongoing, and like I said yesterday, you know, it definitely relates to like just how the tiny house was assembled, how it was built, the frame. I mean, nothing is square. As we dive into this side now, we started trying to move on to this, and I mean, nothing is straight. I mean, we're gonna have to go in there and trim it out. I think we're gonna be able to overcome it by, you know, just having some patience and just keeping positive, doing the best that we can. But it's a pain in the butt, and we can't help but feel a little bit misled. I guess I want to be careful how I say this, because the previous owners, they were super nice, but at the same time, I don't know.
They didn't share everything they probably knew about this house to Nate when he was looking at it.
Yeah.
And we didn't have the experience to see these issues before actually trying to tackle them.
Yeah.
We do now. We have the experience now.
Hindsight is 20/20, as they say,
and we did choose to purchase this tiny house with the understanding that these people have sat on it for like 4 years for a reason. Like, in a garage for like 4 years. We've been looking at a lot of tiny house shells like over the past year, and they're expensive.
Yeah.
And they're booked far out right now, like everything else in the country.
6 months, a year, maybe even longer.
And this is the only tiny house that we have found that was not finished yet. We really wanted to try to do a lot of it ourselves, but was finished enough where we felt comfortable taking it on, and it was very affordable. Like, we didn't want to try to build a frame. We didn't want to start from scratch with a trailer. We wanted something that already had some walls that we could just, you know, learn some new skills for the exterior, but just finish the inside like we did with the van.
Yeah.
And we were looking forward to that experience.
Yeah, when I went and looked at it that day when I was on that surf trip, I mean, like I said in the last video or a couple videos ago, I mean, I didn't know exactly what to look for.
You didn't bring a speed square.
No, I don't.
Or protractor.
Yeah, you know, but I guess these people who had it before us, they wanted to get rid of it. It had been sitting on their property for years. They had kind of given up on it probably a while ago. And now we're learning exactly why they gave up on it. It's not that they were just lazy or incompetent. They were very nice people. It's just that the people who built this all those years ago, the company that did this, they didn't do it right. And it makes for trimming it out, it makes for building it out a heck of a lot harder.
What it came down to in the end was we decided that at this price point, we were willing to take on some of the risk and willing to give it a shot. And worst case, you know, we gain some valuable skills and lose a tiny house. But I don't think that's going to be the issue. It seems like most of these problems, like, we're going to work out. Whether or not they're beautiful and perfect, TBD, but
Yeah.
I think it's going to turn out okay.
These windows, when they installed them, they did it so that they're basically flush with like the sheathing of the house. Like, I don't think they really accounted for adding siding. I think that the previous owners were planning to do cedar siding, so I guess this is the right way to do it. But then the trim that they had all around it was like hanging off. It wasn't even really screwed into like the frame of the house. It was just like tacked in there, and it was literally falling off at a couple of different spots. So it's made this process a lot harder because the windows sit back flush against the sheathing, so now we have these gaps everywhere all around the windows, and like the way that they're flashed in is kind of weird with the tape. I mean, I think that they're watertight. I think they're going to be fine, but I just have to get creative with how I'm going to trim these out. It was right about here where I started realizing that I wasn't feeling great. Shannon was also coming down with something, and we proceeded to spend the next 3 days trying to recover from whatever it is that we had. I still have it right now. I'm sure you can tell in my voice. I've completely lost my voice. I've not been feeling great. But we are very lucky that Bill has stuck with it, and he's been out here working on the tiny house for the past few days while I've been basically stuck in bed. I was out today trying to get some painting done, but obviously just keeping my distance from him because I obviously don't want to get him sick. And we're just going to keep plugging away. We are very grateful that we have Bill here helping us out with this. We're pretty much at the home stretch here. We have about 1 week left on our timeline to finish the exterior entirely. We've got some paint up here. This is what we're gonna do for the color. It is very bright, but it fits with where this tiny house is going. We'll get into that in a future video though, and there's still quite a bit left to do, but it's coming along nicely. And I guess to answer the question of this video, did we buy a lemon? I don't think it's a lemon necessarily. I mean, there are definitely some really weird problems which we've had to overcome while we've been trimming out the house, and I'm sure that there are more things that we're going to encounter as we continue this process and then get to the inside as well. I mean, whatever they did to build this thing, it's not perfect, and it's going to have repercussions down the line. So it is what it is, guys. You know, I mean, we just need to take it one day at a time and stay positive, do the best that we can, and I think we're going to be able to do it. It's just going to be a little bit harder than we had initially anticipated. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll talk to you all in the next one.